Hello, today I'm going to be talking about the relationship of VIDO and IDO core and the infectious disease COVID-19 ontology to the coronavirus infectious disease ontology. So CIDO was made under the guidance of Oliver Hay and the Hay Group. They continue to work on it. It has been developing rapidly, recently added to the OBO Foundry, and as we're understanding the project, and Oliver agrees, it should naturally extend from the virus infectious disease ontology. This is because VIDO covers, terms that will be used in any virus ontology. It's a reference ontology for viruses, while the coronavirus infectious disease ontology imports or uses terms for the coronavirus and or for various coronaviruses and relevant other phenomena. So they're gonna need to import terms from VIDO, obviously. Now, for an overview of this, you can see a paper recently published by myself, Barry, and many others in Science Data. It's a Nature journal. Now, CIDO itself provides a ground floor for extension to IDO COVID-19, which covers the domain not just of coronaviruses in general, but SARS-CoV-2 and the disease that manifests most frequently from infection with it, COVID-19. It's just a general graphical overview. You have IDO as the place from which the VIDO extends. So the infectious disease ontology is the sort of top level from which the virus infectious disease ontology extends, and then the coronavirus infectious disease ontology imports many terms from VIDO, and then IDO COVID-19 imports in turn terms from CIDO. Here's sort of a laundry list of the various terms that are imported. You see the coronavirus is a CIDO term. This is something that, if we're thinking about this from the perspective of IDO COVID-19, IDO COVID-19 is going to be importing coronavirus into its dictionary for the purposes of defining SARS-CoV-2 as a subclass of it. And similarly, CIDO is going to import positive sense single-stranded RNA virus, which was part of that Baltimore classification of terms we discussed in a previous talk on VIDO, and also going to need to import parents to that like virus, or parents like virus, and also siblings like virion, and from IDO core terms like acellular structure. Similarly, IDO COVID-19 is going to need to import terms like infection. You see this is a shortcut relation. There are lots of steps in between here. Some of them are going to involve CIDO. And other ontologies, the relationships here pretty self-explanatory with this little legend, but you see like disorder, which is a term we discussed in previous talk, is going to be imported to IDO COVID-19 as a sort of ground floor for coronavirus disorders or disorders associated with SARS-CoV-2. Later we're going to be talking about pathogenesis and the sort of like processes that start with infections with SARS-CoV-2 and result in manifestations of disease like COVID-19 or ARDS. And for our purposes here, though, it's just important to note sort of like the sort of bridge work that CIDO is doing here. We have IDO core in generating dictionary or controlled vocabulary for infectious disease terms, virus infectious disease ontology, extending from that to cover viruses, or terms common to any virus ontology, not just coronaviruses, but like the flu ontology, malaria ontology, etc. And then the coronavirus ontology, covering introducing terms that are used in investigations of coronavirus infections. And then the most specific out of all of these, the SARS-CoV-2, or at least the IDO COVID-19 ontology, which is going to govern or include terms like SARS-CoV-2 and various related phenomena, or terms covering related phenomena.